Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Josh Lander coming to you with 9 games here on Thursday's NBA slate. We're coming off a wicked hot Wednesday night, 4-1 with the picks that I brought you on this show. Going to run through what those were real quick, take a look at the record, obviously, and then jump right into these best bets. We have not even recorded the Coast to Coast podcast yet, so this is the first set of picks we're bringing you in 1 second. But Wednesday's results, Philly won, New Orleans won, but they went over the 230.5. Embiid ended up not playing. That probably helped Zion get well over his 28.5 points and assists as he dropped 33 points alone. Orlando wiped the floor with the Wizards, as we called, won by 19. They needed to win by 10 for us. Then we parlayed them in a money line bet with the Lakers money line to beat the Detroit Pistons, which they did handily as well. Really nice, sweat-free, little minus 150 there for us. And then Jordan Poole did not go over because no defense was played in that Magic game, which the Magic just are fine, I guess, scoring 140 points at home and winning that way now, which is awesome to watch, to be honest, because they can win in a variety of ways, which makes me believe in them even more. Love them, and they're against the spread stuff especially. So we'll keep betting them. The solo show record with the picks I'm bringing you, we went 4-1 total yesterday, up 3.5 units on the season, 15-6, 7 units up. A lot of these bets are the same as the Coast to Coast. Some of them are not, though, and some of them are being brought to you on Twitter as well. So that record is a little bit better than I even put there because we bet on Derrick Rose late. If you were paying attention on Twitter, you can see at JL Boogie is the handle. It's Land Your Bets on Twitter as well, however you want to find it. But the point is I put out a bet for Derrick Rose to get 10 plus points. I laddered it up a little bit with the 15 plus, and he got 14. We just missed out on that, but it was a good late play because of no Marcus Smart. We didn't have Derrick Rose lines up when I brought the video out yesterday, so I had to wait to bring it to you on Twitter, which is what I did. So I hope you're following along over there. Let's get right into these best bets. I'm going back to a little bankroll builder, which the lingo that I'm using there, some of you actually reached out and asked me to give you a little bit of an understanding of the words I'm using on this podcast. Bankroll is what you're using to obviously, budget the bets that you're making. And the builder part is pretty simple, right? So a bankroll builder is just an easy bet that we feel really comfortable about. It might not be for the most juice, like the minus 150 that we hit yesterday or the minus 125 that this bet brings you. It's not the juiciest, but it's a nice little bankroll builder, like I said, because we feel so confident in these things happening. So the OKC money line, I'll talk about in 1 second. So I'm also betting them with the spread. That's my second bet. So I'll get into that in 1 second. The money line parlay here, focusing on Milwaukee's part of it. God, this is so easy, man. There's just no juice to be had. This Chicago team is terrible. The Bucks are going in the right direction, as we all knew they would. I believe if you've been following along, you've also been hearing myself and Nate on the other show say that like this Milwaukee team needs to figure it out, but we're not going to fade them all season just because they started out struggling so much on defense. They're figuring it out enough on defense to just pair it along with a top 5 offense in the league. And now they're up to about a top 15 defense in the last 5 games specifically. Not that many great offenses that they're playing, but they're at least showing the aptitude to shut teams down and play good defense. So Chicago, on the other hand, is just going the complete wrong direction. There's complete dysfunction in the locker room. Levine wants out. Who could have seen this coming, that the aging middle of the road sort of superstars that were on this team, superstars, just really quality stars in terms of DDR, Vucevic, and Zach LaVine. And they're just not working out as a trio, which was also pretty predictable. And as a result, they're just not winning. They're not playing well together. Their offense is down to the worst in the league at this point. Over their last 9, where they've lost 8 of those games, since then is when they have the worst offense in the league, playing at pretty much the slowest pace. The defense has dropped all the way down to bottom 20 in the league as well. Bottom 10, rather, I should say. So like maybe 22nd in the league right now, according to defensive rating. And that was something that they were going to rely on with their inability to have a free-flowing offense, right? And Caruso being in there, which, by the way, Levine, and DeRozan are all questionable. Don't even know if 1 or 2 or 3 of them are going to play at this point. It's totally up in the air for all 3 of them. So we'll wait to see how that comes out. But even there, I'm like, I love this money line bet. If you want to hit the -8 right now, as soon as you see this, I get that for Milwaukee, because that might go up as soon as 1 of or 2 or 3 of those dudes on Chicago are ruled out. So you're getting ahead of it if you bet it now, because you're going to get CLV when that goes up after those things are announced. I do think a lot of the sharps at this point are already banking on somebody not being in for them and still liking the -8, not necessarily hitting it too much further than this. So it might not jump too much if there's not too much sharp action that comes in with these questionable tags. But if it's really 50-50, then there is the likelihood that people are going to be betting this up. Big money people will be betting this up on Milwaukee's side. So -8 if you want it, but this money line parlay works as well. The second part of that parlay is LA to lose to OKC. And OKC minus 5.5 is also a good bet. Also a Twitter bet that I put out yesterday because I was doing research last night and I was just watching that, knew that Detroit was about to get waxed by the Lakers, but also just know that I don't like the Lakers on the second leg of a back-to-back. So that's a lot of what this bet is predicated on. But I also like this number if AD and LeBron are just fully playing, which I think we can all expect them to both be playing at this point. They wiped the floor with Detroit for the purpose of playing them. But like I said last night in the tweet, I still am good with this bet at minus 5.5, -6 with both of those dudes in for LA. The bench disparity is massive. And this is where the back-to-back is going to impact things more than LBJ and AD playing in this game. Them playing in this game on tired legs is huge, but they're going to be forced to play even more than they would normally if they had Rui Hachimura or Jared Vanderbilt or Gabe Vincent, or at this point, Jackson Hayes, who left last night's game and won't be back, which means AD, hope you're ready for 38 minutes if you expect to win this game against the Thunder. Because this Thunder bench is deep. They're the best in the league, by the way. According to net rating, they are the best bench unit in the league because they're so freaking deep. They're also really good. All the guys coming off the bench, Jalen Williams, when he doesn't start, which is normally because Chet's in there, and then everybody else. I'm not even getting to. Kason Wallace has been incredible, but more importantly, like the LA bench is just so thin that they don't really have the weapons to match up with the Thunder bench. Meaning either you just got to take the L for those minutes where LeBron and AD are off the floor. You have to stagger them, which isn't great for AD, to be honest. He's much better with LeBron on the floor. And so, yeah, the bench disparity just F's everything up for the rest of the starters on the Lakers as well. They're going to be even more tired by the time you get to the fourth quarter, which I'll just go to that last part there where at my final point there is both teams are in the top 5 in clutch. Very impressive in terms of net rating. But give me the fresh young legs over the old tired ones, right? Like this is a situation where if there's really no edge in the clutch between these two teams and how well they're playing when the games are close at the end, give me the dudes who are really, really fresh versus and at home versus the ones who've been traveling for 2 nights in a row and are, older than I am, which is saying something. So anyway, I like that. I think Shai is going to cook tonight because that's exactly where this defense is weakest, is right down the middle. And Shai is going to just eat in the lane, all the floaters he wants. Probably going to get to the layup line essentially with AD not on the floor. There's nobody to stop him. We're going to be looking at a lot of Hood Schifino in this one without Jackson Hayes. He ended up getting some time in the second half yesterday, put up a nice minus 130 individual defensive rating as the Lakers were getting shredded by, at the end, they just didn't care anymore. So their backups were getting shredded by Detroit. But at any rate, this is just a really solid play for me with minus 5.5. And like I said earlier, the money line parlay. Let's give you one play a prop. And I wish I could give you more play props today. But these lines are just not coming out because we don't know who's playing so much. A lot of teams haven't even given their injury report. It's 9 a.m. on the West Coast, meaning it's 12 in the morning or in the afternoon on the East Coast. And we should be getting those soon from a lot of teams, but not even the West Coast ones. Like the Clippers, not really going to know about them because they just waxed the Kings last night. Anyway, you want to hear about Victor Wembanyama. And I don't want to miss out on what I think is going to be a fun game, but obviously, I mean, we all do. It's the Hawks and the Spurs playing each other here. There's probably going to be a lot of points. Victor Wembanyama to go over 34.5 PRA, right? And a lot of people want to take the PR, the points and the rebounds, and you like his ability to get boards. I'm with that. I like adding the assists in there because they're low, and he's been getting over the PRA combo more than the other two as of late. And that's including, well, let's get into it. Gone over in 7 of his last 10. 2 of the fastest paced teams are playing here with are we at a 247.5 total now? It's absurd, right? We're getting up at around 250 for these two teams who both play at 2 of the 5 fastest paces in the league. The Hawks play at the 3rd fastest, the Spurs at the 4th fastest. And really why I like Wemby here is I like these athletic, let's call him a power forward because technically Zach Collins is playing the center. I don't know when there's been a situation where the center was 6 inches shorter than the power forward, but that's where we're at in positionless basketball right now with the versatility of these giant dudes like Victor Wembanyama. So the power forward position is where they're super vulnerable. The Hawks, they're allowing a ton of points and rebounds and assists to power forwards, which is why we continue to pinpoint them as a really solid play when you got a Kyle Kuzma going up against them and guys like that. So Wemby is going to be really well equipped to score on a team that is giving up the 4th most offensive rebounds per game, which is why they give up a ton of second chance points. And that's where Wemby scores a ton of his points from. He gets almost 4 second chance points per game. So it means he's off of the rebound that either he's getting or somebody else, most likely him, because he's got 12 offensive rebounds in his last 4 games. So he's getting like 3 offensive rebounds a game. Is very impressive. Don't let Mitchell Robinson's like 5.5 offensive rebounds per game skew your understanding of what is a lot of offensive rebounds. Mitchell Robinson just gets a stupid amount of them. Victor Wembanyama's 3.5 is very impressive. And against a team that's going to just continue hemorrhaging that stuff, I'll take him all day. His usage rate continues to climb. He's now up to about 30%. I rounded up from like 29.6 or 7 to just make it nice, clean 30% for you on the season. That's number 1 on the team. It's a part of the reason that he's struggling. Not struggling. The part of the reason that Chet has such a great case for rookie of the year is Chet's efficiency is insane. And Wemby is just, at this point, a volume shooter. He's taking most of the shots for this team, especially when Devin Vassell is out. I think he's playing in this one, but at any rate, I still like Wemby to be in a position where he's going to get fast break points when he wants them as well. If he runs the floor, Hawks are just going to keep giving up fast break points to people like him. But people like him, I mean, freaks who are just long and athletic and can run up the floor still, which is someone like Wemby. So love the Wemby bet here to get the points, rebounds, and assists combined. And then the fourth bet here is a lean because I don't know if Lauri Markkanen is playing, and that should probably be the first thing. But it's Utah and Minnesota to go under 222.5. And there's no Ant Edwards in this game, which is a huge reason for this bet. They are awful on offense without Ant on the floor. And part of that is Ant's playing with the starters, and he's out there with Cat and other good offensive. And that's pretty much the end of their good offensive players on the starting lineup. But either way, like that's a big reason for why. Like there's no other guard that's breaking teams down on this team other than Ant Edwards. And without him, I don't like the ability for them to score at all. A 99 offensive rating in the minutes that he's not on the floor. And he hasn't missed a game yet. So we don't know what the full game will look like where Cat is the focal point of the offense. And I try to hide my sort of condescending smirk because we know how that's worked in the past for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And most of their success this season is predicated on the fact that Ant had a 31.5% usage rate. And there was no more questioning who was the focal point of the offense. He created for everybody else, whether it was because he drew attention and made one pass to the next or whatever. But more importantly, like this offense without him is stale and it's not good. And it's under 100 and that's bad. The Utah offense on the road, that's even worse. It's putrid. I would use that as the describing word for it rather than stale because it's just non-existent. If Lowry's not on the floor while they're on the road, I don't like Jordan Clarkson to have that high of a usage rate. I don't think Keontae George, unfortunately, is ready for that sort of stage against the best defensive team on the road. If Markkanen's in, look, they could squeak 110 points out somehow, even though the Thunder couldn't do it, by the way. I think the Timberwolves were bringing it a lot more against the Thunder, but this is still a division rival, and you still want to win this game as bad as the Jazz have been, especially on the road. So taking the number 1 D at home to keep this under if Markkanen is not in, keep an eye on that, and then you can fire away as you necessary from there. So that's all the time that I have for you guys. I will run through the bets really quick. I had a screen up that apparently is gone. But more importantly, I'll just run through them real quick. Here we have best bet number 1, the money line parlay, OKC and Milwaukee. Best bet number 2, the OKC line there, just taking them as the 5.5 points favorites against the Lakers at home. The Wemby bet to go over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And if you're interested in the lean here, keep an eye on Lauri Markkanen's availability. If he is out, I do like the under 222.5 points on this game. And that is all the time that I have for you guys. Appreciate you all following along. Appreciate all the new subscribers and guys, people watching. Much love for sure. Jump in the comments. Having fun talking to you guys about the bets there. Getting made fun of for calling Zion Williamson Zion Willie Amons or whatever the hell I called him. But moving forward, he is Willie Amons. And moving forward, I will hope to have you guys on here again. Like and subscribe if you would. Super helpful. You guys all know that. Also, check out the Coast to Coast podcast. It's on the Lines YouTube page. Have that every single weekday with my buddy Nate, and we've been doing that for years. We are up more than 30 units on the season, so you're going to want to keep checking that out with us. Until I see you next, which is tomorrow, happy betting.